Welcome back, everyone, to Faith Matters. We're so glad to have you all with us live in the studio. Today, we're diving into Mike Murdoch's book, How to Turn Mistakes into Miracles. And don't forget, we've got that free study guide below the video description to help you explore these concepts even more.
Yeah, I just love how Murdoch really goes after this head on. I mean, mistakes.
Yeah, make them.
Right. We all make them, but instead of seeing them as like these dead ends, he's like, hey, these can actually be the launching pad, for something incredible.
Yeah, and, he starts the book with this powerful reminder, right? Like, we're human,
Yeah.
not divine.
Right.
Mistakes are part of it.
They're gonna happen. And what's really cool is he ties that acceptance of our imperfection to self-compassion. He says beating ourselves up over mistakes, it's like shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, it holds us back.
It does.
So instead of dwelling on the I messed up, it's more about, okay,
What can
I learn from this?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Murdoch really emphasizes that self-compassion isn't saying, oh, I'm just going to make mistakes all the time. It's recognizing, yeah, we're going to stumble, but that doesn't mean we're failures.
It's about giving ourselves.
The same grace and understanding we would a friend
Yeah.
who messed up. Right.
I think that's so important because it's easy to get caught in that cycle,
Yeah. Right.
the guilt and the shame.
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves we're not good enough. And that can really just like sabotage our future efforts.
Yeah. Sabotage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, Murdoch even suggests some practical ways to cultivate that self-compassion. Like imagine talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend.
Oh, that's good.
If they came to you with the same mistake, would you be berating them? No, you would comfort them. You would understand them.
Probably crack a joke, lighten the mood.
Maybe lighten the mood, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And, speaking of shifting perspectives, Murdoch also dives into the power of confession.
Confession. He outlines these 3 key confessions, and it's to yourself, to God, and to those that you've harmed. But he's also really, really clear that confession isn't about self-sabotage. It's not airing your dirty laundry to anyone who'll listen.
Right.
There's wisdom in who you confide in.
Yeah.
He actually cautions against confessing to people who might use that information to hurt you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So it's about responsibility, and it's about seeking forgiveness and making amends where it's appropriate, not setting ourselves up for more hurt.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting because I think so many people struggle with this. Like, when is confession actually beneficial?
Yeah.
And when might it actually do more harm than good?
That is such a great question.
Yeah.
It is a nuanced issue, for sure. But Murdoch actually offers this really interesting insight. He says true confession, it often silences the accusers. So by owning up to your mistake,
You take away their power.
exactly.
Like you're disarming them with honesty.
You're taking the wind right out of their sails. And listeners, this is a good point to reflect, right? Like, what are the benefits? What are the risks of confessing a mistake?
Yeah.
In your own life, how can you approach that decision in a way that's both good for you, but also
Good for others.
good for others involved?
Good for others.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So finding that balance.
Balance is key.
And that leads to another interesting aspect of turning mistakes into miracles.
Which is?
Taking responsibility, but not necessarily all the responsibility.
I love that you brought that up.
Oh, good.
Because this is such a big one. And Murdoch makes this point about how shielding people from consequences of their actions can actually prevent their growth.
Ooh, that's good.
He uses this example of parents who constantly cover for their kids.
Oh, yeah.
It might feel kind in the moment, but ultimately
Not helping.
not helping. You're robbing them. You're robbing them of that opportunity to learn and grow and be accountable.
So it's about allowing others to own their part, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yes. And you know what that is? That's fostering a culture of honesty and responsibility, where mistakes, they aren't something to be hidden and swept under the rug.
Yeah.
They're opportunities. They're opportunities for learning and growth.
And, I think that ties into, he also talks about reviewing the options that were available at the time of a mistake.
Yes, he does.
I love that he tells that story about the minister who resigned prematurely because he was just
Oh, yeah.
so
Emotional.
about the whole thing.
And sometimes in the heat of the moment, we don't even realize all the options that are available to us.
Right.
It's taking the time to look back and go, okay, What could I have done differently?
What other choices were there?
What other choices were there?
That's good. That's gaining wisdom from hindsight.
Absolutely. And he also encourages us to think about the influence of other people on our decisions.
Oh,
Right. Because we are all influenced, whether we're aware of it or not, by the people around us. And sometimes those influences can lead us down a path that's not really in our best interest,
that we would not have chosen for ourselves.
that we wouldn't have chosen for ourselves.
Yeah, so listeners, think about this. Who are the top influencers in your life?
Ooh, that's a good one.
How are they shaping your decisions? Are they guiding you towards your goals?
Or are they holding you back?
Yeah, they're holding you back.
It's powerful.
It's powerful. And that leads us to, I think, another really important concept in the book, which is this idea that pain can actually be a catalyst for growth and transformation.
He does not sugarcoat it. He says you've got to be willing to taste the pain of your mistakes.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting is he doesn't see pain as something to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
He sees it as an opportunity,
Ooh, that's good.
to learn, to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. He even uses that parable of the prodigal son to illustrate how pain can lead to change.
That's great. So listeners, take a moment to reflect on that. What's one painful experience in your life that actually taught you a really valuable lesson? And how has that experience shaped who you are today?
It's about recognizing that pain, while difficult, is a powerful teacher. And while he acknowledges, experience the pain of your mistake,
Yeah.
it's not meant to be a permanent state. You don't just stay there wallowing.
Right. He encourages us to shift our focus from dwelling on the past to embracing the future. And also being mindful of who we share our struggles with.
Absolutely. He cautions against, spilling your guts to everyone who listen,
Yeah.
especially those who you'd rather forget the mistake with,
Right.
It's more about, okay, let's focus our energy. Let's seek support from those people that are going to lift us up and encourage us.
Champion our growth.
Champion our growth, exactly.
Yeah.
And he also, of course, emphasizes connecting with God,
Right.
seeking that guidance and that strength from a higher power.
So listeners, how can you shift your focus from those past mistakes to the future possibilities? What steps can you take today to surround yourself with that supportive community?
Surround yourself with the right people. And that brings us to another crucial piece of turning mistakes into miracles.
Which is?
Restitution. Murdoch is very clear this is a vital part of true repentance.
He uses that story of Zacchaeus in the Bible.
Oh, I love that story.
Zacchaeus, the tax collector.
Yeah, who after encountering Jesus was like, I'm changing my ways,
Repents of his past wrongdoings and decides to make amends.
To make things right.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging the harm that you've caused
And
taking steps to repair that damage.
So listeners, is there anyone that you need to make amends with? Is there a situation where you need to take responsibility and seek forgiveness?
And on that note, remember, healing takes time. Murdoch uses the example of the emotional cycle after a divorce.
Yeah.
Just to illustrate, it's a process.
Recovering from mistakes, rebuilding trust.
It's not an instant event. It's going to take some time.
And he also emphasizes trusting in God's timing.
Yes, which can be so hard. But waiting, it's not wasted time.
That's good.
It's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for reflection.
So be patient with yourselves, listeners.
Yeah, be patient with yourselves. Healing is a journey. And as you're going through that journey, Murdoch actually encourages us to focus on something amazing.
How's that?
Helping others.
Ooh.
Helping others achieve their goals. He uses that example of Jesus Christ, who was constantly focused on empowering and uplifting others.
It's interesting because when you shift your focus outward from your own problems to how you can make a difference in other people's lives,
Right.
There's actual scientific evidence that boosts your happiness and well-being.
It does.
Like when you focus on making a positive impact on the world, the positivity kind of comes back to you.
It does. And Murdoch reminds us we all have something to offer. We all have something we can contribute. So listeners, challenge yourself this week.
Ooh, I like that.
How can you be a source of support and encouragement to somebody else? What little act of kindness
It's going to have to be big.
can you do to make their day? It can be the smallest gesture, but it makes a world of difference. And now, as we're talking about, turning these mistakes into miracles, Murdoch introduces this idea of developing what he calls a winner's mentality.
A winner's mentality, okay.
He really dives into the power of our thoughts and how they shape our reality. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind.
He uses the term success photographs.
Yes. He says, start hanging success photographs on the walls of your mind. Picture health. Picture prosperity. Picture a happy marriage. Picture overcoming obstacles. Picture power.
It's like creating a vision board for your life.
It is.
Yeah.
Filling it with images of what you want to create.
Who you want to be.
Who you want to become.
Yeah.
And it's not just daydreaming, though. Murdoch is really clear. We need to back up those positive thoughts with action.
Right.
You become what you think about. So if you want to achieve success, you've got to start by believing in yourself and your ability to overcome those challenges.
So lining our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
It's like this synergy that propels you forward.
Yeah.
And speaking of moving forward, he also emphasizes the importance of celebrating our achievements, no matter how small.
Oh, love that.
And he actually recommends building what he calls a celebration routine.
Oh, that's great.
After every victory, no matter how small. He says, small achievements deserve a celebration. Acknowledge your wins and give yourself credit for the effort.
It's like pausing to savor the moment, to enjoy the feeling of accomplishment.
And it doesn't have to be big. It could be a quiet moment. I'm grateful. It could be, I don't know, a little dance party in your living room.
Treat yourself to an extra special coffee.
Here you go.
Whatever it is, just acknowledge your wins and give yourself permission to feel proud.
And before we move on to the next section, I just want to remind everyone, we have that free study guide
Yes.
available below, jam-packed with tips and exercises to help you cultivate gratitude and put all this wisdom that we're getting from Murdoch into practice.
Awesome. Download it below.
Check it out. Keep exploring.
Yeah. Keep exploring these powerful principles.
Welcome back to Faith Matters, everybody.
So glad to have you all with us again. We're diving even deeper into Mike Murdoch's How to Turn Mistakes into Miracles. It's like this roadmap,
Yeah.
for transforming our setbacks into stepping stones.
We've been talking about taking ownership, making amends, and even celebrating those little wins. But Murdoch takes it a step further. He challenges us to really shift how we view mistakes, like altogether.
Because I think most of us are kind of programmed to see mistakes as mistakes.
Yeah.
Something negative.
To be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
We don't, jump for joy when we mess up.
No. Not the first instinct, right?
Yeah. No. But Murdoch, he flips the script. He says, mistakes are actually these incredible learning experiences.
Okay.
They're like unexpected detours that can lead to amazing discoveries.
So instead of being stuck in that, ugh, I messed up mindset,
Yep.
we can look for the hidden gems
The hidden gem.
along the way.
It's about reframing. Murdoch uses this analogy. He says mistakes are like the negative image in photography.
Ooh, I like that.
So it might seem messy, confusing at first glance, but it holds all the information that you need to create this beautiful print.
So the negative actually contains the blueprint
Yes.
for something truly beautiful.
But we have to develop it. We have to see the potential in it.
We have to see it. Okay, so how do we actually shift our mindset to see that potential?
Okay, that's the million-dollar question right there.
Right. How do we go from that, ugh, I messed up again, to, okay, what can I learn?
Okay, well, Murdoch suggests a couple of really powerful strategies. One is to focus on identifying the wisdom that you got from that mistake.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what did I learn from this?
Okay.
How can I use this knowledge to make a better choice next time? So you're taking that negative and you're making it into this positive thing.
We're mining for the lesson.
You are.
Yeah.
You're mining for that lesson. And he encourages us to write that stuff down,
Yeah.
Keep a journal. Capture those little aha moments.
Create your own guidebook for navigating life's challenges.
Yes. And speaking of letting go, he also talks about the importance of not dwelling on the past. He has this great phrase. He says, silence can't be misquoted.
That's good.
It's so good. And it reminds us that sometimes the best way to move on is to just stop rehashing it. Stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's like the more you stir a pot of mud, the murkier it gets.
Right. Sometimes you just got to let it settle.
Yeah.
So instead of dwelling, he says, pour your energy into creating the future you want. Visualize the future you desire, not the past you regret.
So consciously shift our focus from what went wrong to what can go right.
What can go right? And you know what this ties into beautifully? It's another point he makes, which is the power of support.
Oh, yeah.
He reminds us, you don't have to go through this alone.
Nope.
Reach out to a trusted friend or a family member, a mentor, a therapist.
That's a network.
Build that network. Those people that are going to cheer you on, challenge you, help you stay accountable.
Yeah, I love that.
And of course, he also emphasizes connecting with God. seeking guidance and strength from a higher power,
Right.
it's tapping into that source of unconditional love and support that's always there,
It's always available.
always available.
Yeah. So listeners, I think it's important to reflect on who are the people in your life that truly champion your growth? And how can you deepen your connection to your faith, to your spirituality, to find that solace and guidance?
When times get tough. When times get tough.
Yeah.
Those are important questions.
They are. And, in addition to seeking support, he also emphasizes taking action.
Okay.
He says, you're closer to a miracle than you've ever been.
I love that.
Start your comeback now.
He wants us to move. He doesn't want us to just think about it. He wants us to take those steps forward.
He does. And one of the most powerful actions that we can take is to focus on helping others achieve their goals. He uses the example of Jesus, who was always, always focused on empowering those around him.
So shift our focus outward.
Outward.
From our own problems to how we can make a positive difference in the lives of other people.
And it's not just altruism. There's actual science behind this
Oh, yeah.
that shows that helping others makes us happier. It boosts our well-being.
It's like that beautiful cycle. You focus on making a positive impact on the world, and it comes back to you.
It does. And Murdoch says, we all have something to offer. So listeners, how can you be that source of support this week?
Ooh, I like that. For someone else, what small act can you do that will make their day? It doesn't have to be big. Just a tiny little gesture can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
And now, as we continue with this idea of turning mistakes into miracles, Murdoch introduces this really interesting concept of developing a winner's mentality.
A winner's mentality.
He dives into the power of our thoughts and how they really do shape our reality,
Yeah.
So be mindful of what you allow in.
Be intentional.
Be intentional about those images, those messages that you're letting into your mind. He calls this success photographs.
Success photographs.
He says, start hanging success photographs on the walls of your mind.
Ooh.
Picture health.
Okay.
Picture prosperity. Picture a happy marriage. Picture overcoming those obstacles. Picture power.
It's like creating a vision board
It really is. Fill it with those images of what you want.
of who you want to become.
Exactly. And it's not just daydreaming. Murdoch says, back those thoughts up with action.
Right.
He reminds us, you become what you think about.
Oh, I like that.
So if you want to be successful, start by believing in yourself and your ability to overcome challenges.
So aligning our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions.
It's like this beautiful synergy that propels you forward.
Yeah, that's synergy.
And speaking of moving forward, Murdoch also emphasizes the importance of celebrating our achievements.
Oh, I love that.
No matter how small, he actually says, develop a celebration routine
Okay.
after every victory.
That's great.
He says, small achievements deserve a celebration. It's about acknowledging your wins, giving yourself credit for the effort.
It's pausing, taking a moment to savor, enjoy that feeling of accomplishment.
It is. And those celebrations, they don't have to be these huge things. It could be a quiet moment of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a little dance party in your living room.
Treat yourself to a special coffee.
There you go. It's finding ways to acknowledge your progress, however big or small.
Welcome back to Faith Matters. As we wrap up this amazing journey through Mike Murdoch's How to Turn Mistakes into Miracles, there's one more powerful principle we have to talk about. One that Murdoch believes is absolutely key for transforming those setbacks into triumphs.
And that's gratitude.
Oh, yeah, gratitude.
Murdoch, he calls it the attitude of gratitude. And he's like, this isn't just some fluffy feeling. It's a real force. It can really shift your whole perspective.
It makes sense, right? When you're focusing on what you're thankful for,
Yeah,
it's hard to dwell on the negative.
it really is.
It's like gratitude shines a light on all the good stuff, even when things are rough.
It's like it reframes everything.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So how do we actually do that? How do we cultivate that attitude of gratitude? It's easy to say be grateful,
Right.
but how do we actually make it a habit?
Well, Murdoch has some really practical suggestions. He's like, just start by noticing the things you're grateful for during the day. It could be, I don't know, a hot cup of coffee in the morning, a pretty sunset, a kind word from somebody.
Just those little moments of joy.
Those little moments, the everyday blessings that we kind of take for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
And then once you start noticing them, the next step is, express it. You can do that through prayer, through journaling, or even just telling somebody, hey, I really appreciate you.
So making it an active practice?
Active, not just passive.
Just a feeling?
And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
It's like working a muscle, right?
It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it
Yeah,
gets.
and then as that gratitude muscle grows,
Hmm.
you start to see the world differently.
Oh, yeah.
You become more resilient,
You do.
more optimistic,
Mhm.
and you're more open to all the good stuff that might be ahead.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like this
Yeah,
upward spiral of positivity.
yeah, yeah. And that's really what this book is all about, right? Helping us see that even in the midst of our mistakes, our setbacks,
Yeah.
there's always hope.
There's always a chance for a miracle.
Yeah, our mistakes don't define us. They refine us. And hey, speaking of refining, don't forget about that free study guide we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's packed with like practical tips and exercises to help you cultivate gratitude,
Yeah.
put all this wisdom that we've been talking about into practice.
Some good.
You can download it below the video description.
Highly recommend checking it out. Keep going on this journey.
Keep exploring these powerful principles. And before we go, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. If you could go back and give your younger self some advice about dealing with mistakes, what would you say?
What would you say?
Okay.
What wisdom have you learned?
Yeah, take some time to think about that.
Yeah.
And remember, no matter what mistakes you've made, you always have the power to turn them into miracles.
So good.
Thanks for joining us on Faith Matters.
We'll see you next time.